Good Monday afternoon, everybody. I'm meteorologist Tim Pandajis here with your tropical update. Today we're talking about Tropical Storm Eta and a new tropical wave. In fact, we have two tropical waves, one that has been designated Invest 97L and has a pretty high chance of becoming Theta, the 29th named storm of the year. All right, so here's the latest. Eta becomes the 12th storm to make landfall in the United States in 2020. It made landfall over the Florida Keys over the weekend. There are 21 days left of the season. It ends on November 30th. Does that mean November 30th we're completely done? No, there's been plenty of seasons that we've had systems in December, in January, so we'll just have to see where things lead us. It's still looking pretty active out there, so we may see this last just for a little while longer. You see here on our 2020 landfalls, we are now up to 12 landfalling storms just in the United States. Now, that blows out of the water the previous record for landfalls in the U.S., which was 9. And that was back in 1916. Are we done yet? Could we make it to 13 or 14? We could. We have two other areas we're watching, one in the southern Caribbean, one in the central Atlantic, thankfully moving away from the United States. And then we have Eta here that's going to begin its slow trudge northwards, eventually, potentially at least, towards the panhandle of Florida. Here's how it looks on satellite imagery. We're going to zoom in here on Eta on the infrared imagery. Remember, this tells us the temperature of the cloud tops. The colder the cloud tops, the stronger the storm is. Now, if you've watched these videos before, you know that we look for the shades of red and even some pink and white sometimes when they're really, really intense and we have really cold cloud tops. This is Eta. First thing that strikes you is it's really void of any intense thunderstorm activity. It's actually entering a pretty stable environment. It's also pulling in some dry air. It's getting entrained into the circulation. And wind shear isn't all that favorable right now, but it is sitting over some really warm waters. We're up to 50-mile-per-hour winds. It's actually down from this morning when it was at 60-mile-per-hour winds. So medium and tropical storm, you need 39 miles per hour or greater, so we're just a little bit above that with gusts up to just under hurricane force. It's even more evident here that we are in a stable environment. You have low cloud tops, which is really showing kind of the inner structure of the system here. You can see it just sitting and spinning off the west coast of Florida in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, it has started to turn its way off to the southwest a little more. And that's important here because what's doing that is a ridge that's building over to the north of it. That's pushing it off to the southwest. Now, in the coming, say, day and a half, maybe 2 days, that ridge will erode, and this will start to build its way northwards. Very slowly, I might add. In fact, between where it is now and potential landfall along the panhandle of Florida is like 5 days. So that's a lot of time over still relatively very warm waters. Let's switch up the imagery now. Remember I talked about dry air getting pulled into the system? This is water vapor imagery, okay? Moist air, extremely dry air in the rust color. And some of this is getting wrapped around and pulled into the circulation. So overall, the environment is pretty hostile for this to intensify rapidly, which is good news. Here's the plan, and here's the forecast going forward from the National Hurricane Center, the 1 o'clock advisory. Notice here we don't cover a lot of ground in 5 days. This is a 5-day cone from where it is now to landfall. That's Saturday at 7 a.m. Notice here also that the intensities don't vary all that much. We're kind of plateauing to a moderate grade, maybe high grade tropical storm where it peaks at 70 miles per hour. Is that set in stone? Absolutely not. We are over very warm waters here. It's over a loop current right now which continuously feeds warm water to where this storm is currently located. So could it pop if wind shear drops down and say it doesn't pull in any drier? Yeah, it could. So that's why we have to watch it. And with its slow movement too, that means it's going to be a big time rainmaker too. Already dumped a lot of rain through Florida, but as it moves north and eventually inland, that'll be even more rain. In terms of any watches or warnings that are up now, we had some off the coastal waters of Florida earlier. Those have been dropped, but nothing else really in the Gulf Coast yet. Those will likely be added here as it starts to slowly move its way northwards in the coming days. Talking about the sea surface temperatures, where it is right now, we're talking almost 90-degree waters, and this is the Gulf of Mexico loop current here that's continuously feeding in the warm water. So once it starts to move out of that, it's getting progressively cooler sea surface temperatures as it gets closer to the coastline there. Still certainly enough to promote intensification and fuel the storm, but It's not 90-degree waters, which would be good news. Also, we are in areas of a lot of heat potential here, especially where it currently is the brighter colors, meaning that that warm water extends down to a depth. So as it's moving slow, particularly with slow-moving storms, upwelling is a big problem for it sustaining its organization or its strength. It's mixing up cooler waters. But when you have the warm waters all the way down, several hundred meters in some cases, you don't really run out of that warm water until it moves far enough north that it moves out of that heat content. So that's some good news there. All right, in terms of rainfall totals here, we're just going all the way out through the week. Remember, it doesn't make landfall until Saturday, so right around here. But as it spreads inland, we'll see the southeast just get drenched. Nothing like terribly high, but you see the legend there. We're going anywhere from like 2 to maybe 6, maybe 7, 8 inches of rain over some areas. So a soaking rain could lead to some flooding for sure, but nothing like foot and a half rainfall totals that we've seen with other storms. All right, let's talk about Invest 97L. That's this right out here in the middle of the Atlantic. You have the Azores and the Canary Islands, so it may potentially bring some impacts more so to the Canary rather than the Azores. Looks to pass to the south of there, but pretty high chances that this becomes Theta. Likely probably a subtropical storm at that point because it's going to be moving into the northern parts of the Atlantic, losing some of its tropical characteristics there. Also, as we go down to the southern Caribbean, which has been the birthplace of many tropical systems so far this season, another spot here that looks kind of primed for development. Not so much in the short term within 2 days, but within 5 days, those chances have jumped up to 50%. So if we have Theta, this would be Iota. We'll see if we get to 29 and 30 named storms this year. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. We're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.